Jennifer Asuquo was counting her own heartbeat. She stood outside a glass restaurant in Gangnam, forehead pressed lightly against the cold window, watching plates of untouched food get cleared off a table like they meant nothing. Her stomach twisted so hard it felt like a fist closing around her spine. 3 days. She hadn't eaten a real meal in 3 days, and her hands were shaking so badly she had to hide them inside the sleeves of a jacket that wasn't warm enough for the wind coming off the street. She wasn't thinking about mafia princes or love stories or anything that belonged in a drama. She was thinking about one thing only: survival. A black car rolled to a slow stop right beside her, so smooth she barely heard the tires against the road. The window slid down. A man's voice, low, unreadable, cut straight through the noise in her head. "You've been standing outside this restaurant for 11 minutes, long enough for me to notice, and long enough for security to start noticing too." She startled backward, nearly losing her footing. "I no day do anything. I day only look, no crime to look. Depends what you're looking at." "Food," she said before she could stop herself, too hungry and too tired to be embarrassed. "I day look food. I never chop since 3 days ago, and no only their leftover I want. I no day ask anybody for their full plate." The man in the car went quiet, too quiet. The kind of quiet that made her nervous, like she'd said something that mattered more than she realized. "Get in," he finally said. I no be small pickin'. I no day enter strange man car for road just like that, even if I hungry reach die. Then stand there and starve with your pride intact. Your choice." She hated that he was right. She hated it even more that her stomach growled loud enough for him to hear through the open window, an embarrassing, betraying sound that made him almost smile. That was how it started, not with romance, not with mystery, but with hunger, pride, and a stranger who didn't look away. 3 months earlier, Jennifer's life had looked nothing like homelessness. She'd come to Seoul from Calabar with a scholarship to study fashion textiles, full of plans and a little bit of stubborn Nigerian confidence that told her nothing in this world could break her. But scholarships run out. Roommates disappear owing rent. Visas complicate everything. Within 4 months, she'd gone from a shared apartment near her university to sleeping in 24-hour laundromats, to finally, humiliatingly, standing outside restaurants hoping somebody's mercy would show up before her hunger did. She never told anyone back home. Pride is a heavy thing to carry, heavier than hunger sometimes, and she carried both like a woman used to carrying more than her share. The man in the car, she would later learn his name was Kang Do-yun, didn't drive her anywhere frightening that first night. He drove her 3 minutes down the road to a small 24-hour restaurant, parked, and simply said, "Order whatever you want, all of it." "You go pay." I said all of it. She stared at him like he'd grown 2 heads. "Why? You no know me. I fit be criminal. I fit be juju woman way go use your money do bad thing." For the first time, something in his controlled expression cracked into amusement. "If you're a juju woman, you're doing a very bad job of hiding it by starving in front of a restaurant." She laughed, a real, surprised laugh, the first one in weeks. And something about the sound of it seemed to catch him off guard too, like he hadn't expected a homeless girl on a Seoul sidewalk to still have laughter left in her. She ordered modestly at first, embarrassed, but he kept pushing more items toward her: soup, rice, side dishes, a small plate of grilled meat, until the table was full and her eyes were wet, not from sadness this time, but from something closer to relief. "Why you day do this?" she asked quietly, chopsticks halfway to her mouth. "Common sense tell me say person no day just save stranger for road like this without agenda." "Everyone has an agenda," he said. "Mine is simple. I don't like watching hungry people pretend they're fine. You day speak like person way sabai hunger before." His jaw tightened just slightly, the way a door creaks before it's slammed shut on a memory. "Eat your food." She let it go that time. But she filed it away, the way his eyes had darkened, the way his voice had dropped an octave lower, like hunger wasn't a stranger to him either, no matter how expensive his watch looked or how quiet his driver waited outside. That night after the meal, after he'd paid without letting her see the bill, after he'd driven her to a small guest house and paid for a week up front without asking her opinion on the matter, he said something that stuck with her long after he drove away. "Koyut sokhe enus, I promise. You won't go hungry again, not while I know your name." She didn't fully believe him. Rich men made promises in dramas all the time, and dramas always had a catch. But she slept that night on a real bed for the first time in weeks, and for a few hours, belief didn't feel so impossible. Comedy, as it often does in real life, arrived the very next morning, wrapped in confusion and cultural miscommunication. Do-yun sent a driver to pick her up, not himself this time, and had her brought to what she assumed was some kind of restaurant supply office, since he'd mentioned something about helping her get back on her feet. She walked in wearing her cleanest outfit, hair freshly done, ready to discuss serious business, only to find herself standing in the middle of an enormous walk-in closet filled with designer clothes, every tag still attached. "Wetin be this?" she asked the assistant standing beside her. "You people dey sell clothes for here. I no get enough money to buy pin, not to talk of designer wear." "Mr. Kang instructed us to outfit you completely," the assistant said carefully, like she was delivering complicated diplomatic news. "Shoes, bags, everything." Jennifer blinked again. "So free things be like this for Korea, because if so please I go like relocate my whole family come here immediately. We go all day outside restaurant day hungry together as one unit." The assistant, clearly unsure whether that was a joke, simply smiled politely and said nothing. When Do-yun called later that day to check on her, she didn't hold back. "Kang Do-yun, why you go send me enter room full of clothes way cost like small country GDP? You want turn me to spy or nuff fashion doll you day make out of me? You needed clothes. I needed food yesterday, today no wardrobe wahala, tomorrow wetin. You go buy me house self. If that's what it takes." She nearly dropped the phone. Slow down, Oga. I no ask you to marry me, I only ask for leftover rice." His laughter came through the phone, low and real, and something in her chest did a slow, dangerous flip at the sound of it. "You didn't ask for any of this, Jennifer. That's exactly why I'm giving it." She sat with that sentence long after the call ended, turning it over like a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit the picture of rich stranger with a savior complex that she'd built in her head. There was something else underneath his generosity, something heavier, older, more personal than charity. She found out what it was 2 weeks later, on a night that started with laughter and nearly ended in blood. They'd fallen into an easy rhythm by then. Dinners twice a week. Long drives through the city at night where he taught her Korean phrases, and she taught him Nigerian slang that left him hopelessly confused and endlessly amused. "Say it again," he told her one night, trying to repeat a phrase she just taught him. "Wahala no day finish," she said slowly. "No so we day talk when trouble no one come out from person life." He repeated it in a painfully stiff, overly formal accent that made her laugh so hard she nearly choked on her drink. No, you sound like Nija textbook robot. Relax your shoulders, feel the wahala inside your body." "I don't think wahala is something you feel in your body. That's because you never suffer for Lagos traffic before. If you suffer wahala go into your body, your spirit, your very soul." He smiled, that rare, unguarded smile that only ever showed up around her, and for a moment, sitting in his car with warm streetlights sliding past the windows, Jennifer forgot she'd ever been a hungry girl standing outside a restaurant with nothing but pride left to lose. Then his phone rang, and everything changed. He answered it, listened for maybe 10 seconds, and his entire body went rigid, the warmth draining out of his face like someone had pulled a plug. "Say that again," he said, voice low and dangerous in a way she'd never heard from him. She sat frozen, watching a stranger reappear behind familiar eyes. He hung up without a goodbye, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles went white. "I need to take you somewhere safe, right now. Do-yun wetin day happen, you day scare me. There are people," he said carefully, choosing each word like it cost him something, "who don't approve of the way I've been spending my time lately. And they've apparently decided the best way to send a message is through you. Through me, I no be nobody, I be just girl way you feed rice give." His eyes flicked to hers, dark and serious. "You stopped being just a girl I fed rice to a long time ago, Jennifer, and they know it too." That was the first time she understood that Kang Do-yun wasn't simply a wealthy man with a generous heart. He was the second son of the Kang Syndicate, a family whose name carried weight in every corner of Seoul's underworld. And his sudden, public attention toward a homeless Nigerian girl had apparently made her a target in a war she'd never signed up to fight. He drove fast that night, weaving through side streets with practiced precision, checking mirrors like a man who'd done this before, too many times to count. She gripped the door handle, heart racing, torn between fear and something dangerously close to admiration for how calm he stayed under pressure. "You day do this kind thing before?" she asked, voice shaking. "More times than I'd like to admit. Wetin be this kind thing, running from Wahala for road with car full speed like Fast and Furious Extra." Despite everything, a small laugh escaped him. "Something like that." He took her to a private apartment on the top floor of a building with security that looked more like a fortress than a residence. Once inside, once the door was locked and the tension in his shoulders finally eased half an inch, He turned to her with an expression she hadn't seen before, something raw, something almost apologetic. "I should have told you everything from the beginning," he said quietly. "Instead, I let you believe I was just a man who liked feeding strangers. So which one be true? You be mafia person or you be good Samaritan?" "Both," he admitted. "That's the part I don't know how to explain to someone who still has a soft heart left in this world." She studied him for a long moment, the warm lamplight catching the exhaustion under his eyes, the quiet guilt in his jaw. "Do-yun, I don sleep for laundromat floor, I don beg leftover for restaurant window, nothing way you tell me fit shock me past that. This might. Try me. My father runs one of the largest crime syndicates in this country. I wasn't supposed to take over, that responsibility belonged to my older brother. But 6 months ago, my brother was killed by a rival family, and the entire weight of succession shifted onto my shoulders whether I wanted it or not." She sat down slowly, the reality of his words settling over her like a heavy blanket. "So the day you see me for road, day chop leftover like say na 5-star meal, you don't already day carry this kind heavy load for your back." "Yes. And you still stop your car just to feed one hungry stranger. You looked exactly like someone else I used to know," he said, voice suddenly quiet, almost breaking. "Someone I couldn't save in time." The room went silent except for the faint hum of the city outside the window. She didn't ask who. She didn't need to. Some pain doesn't need translation in any language, Korean, English, or Pidgin, and she recognized the shape of grief sitting behind his eyes because she'd worn a version of it herself, alone in a foreign country, too many nights in a row. She moved closer, gently placing her hand over his. "You no owe me explanation for why you day kind. Some people just get soft heart way life no fit fully destroy, no matter how much wahala dem see." His hand turned over beneath hers, fingers lacing through hers slowly, like he was testing whether the moment was real. "Call me unhappiness. I'm sorry. For wettin'. For letting you get close to something this dangerous. Too late for sorry, Oga. You done feed me, clothe me, save me from street. Now your own wahala be my own wahala now, whether you like 'em or not." Something shifted in his expression. Relief, disbelief, and something warmer underneath both. And before either of them fully decided to close the distance, he leaned in and kissed her, slow and certain, like a man finally allowing himself something he denied himself for months. She kissed him back without hesitation. Months of hunger and loneliness dissolving into something that finally felt like being wanted, not out of pity, but out of choice. When they broke apart, breathless, she rested her forehead against his, a small, teasing smile finally breaking through the tension. "So, since we don kiss finish, I fit assume say leftover rice don upgrade to full 7-course meal for the rest of my life." He laughed, real and unguarded, forehead still pressed to hers. "I'll make sure you never eat leftovers again." "Correct, but make sure jollof rice day included. Oh, I know they do this kind love story without proper jollof." "Anything for you," he murmured. "Ko good enus? Ko yutsok nus?" "Yes, I promise. But peace, as always in a mafia story, comes with a countdown clock nobody can see, and just as the warmth of the moment settled over them, his phone buzzed against the table with a single new message. A photo of the guest house where she'd first slept safely, its door kicked open, the small room she'd finally started calling home completely torn apart. His face changed instantly, all the softness draining out in a single breath. "They found where you were staying before I moved you here. Do-yun, who be they? Which enemy sabai where I day sleep sef? I never even tell my own mother the address." He turned the phone toward her slowly, and beneath the photograph was a short message in Korean, one she didn't need translated to understand the threat sitting inside it. "It's a warning," he said quietly. "They're telling me they can find anyone I care about, anywhere, anytime." The lights of the city stretched out beyond the window, beautiful and indifferent, while inside that guarded apartment, a homeless girl who once begged for leftovers now sat at the center of a war she never asked to join. And the only certainty left in her world was the man beside her, gripping her hand like he had no intention of ever letting go. If you want to know who's really coming after Jennifer, what Kang Do-yun's family is truly hiding, and whether love this dangerous can survive a war this personal, you already know what to do. Hit subscribe right now, drop a comment telling me if you think Do-yun can protect her, and stay close, because episode 2 is coming with answers nobody's ready for. Kol gumsahupnida, inus, and I'll see you in the next one.